Hey, Colabcoaching here again to share some wise words of wisdom for the week. So excited to get into this week. New topic, new ideas, new concepts. Let's get into it. But before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell me what you think about my videos. If you like them, great. If you don't, great. If you have some feedback as far as things that you want me to talk about, I'm all open for it and I'm here to listen to you. Well, with that being said, to talk about this topic this week, the name of this topic is when you want to set limits and boundaries with other people. When you want to set limits and boundaries with other people, specifically people that you may know, people that you may not know. I'll talk about both sides of it all. But setting limits and boundaries. Well, what does that mean? Setting limits and boundaries is basically you going out of your way to distinguish what you tolerate, what you won't tolerate, what you let into your life, what you decide not to let into your life, who you let into your life, who you choose not to let into your life, and it all boils down to how much time are you giving to certain people. Now, I'm here to say setting limits and boundaries was something I was difficult in doing because I'm a caregiver by nature. I like to make sure people are doing good. I like to make sure people are okay, are happy, are enjoying life. I like to check up on people. But my problem was that I was not setting limits and boundaries with certain people. Certain people, you check on them. Certain people, you talk to them, have conversations with them. Great, you feel good, you move on. There are other people who you have conversations with them, you check up on them, and they tend to take a lot of energy out of you. They tend to be the ones that want to focus on them alone, don't really care about you, don't really care about what's going on in your life. They want to either vent, they want to talk about something that is pertaining to them, or they just choose to take your time, use it, and never replenish it. Now, when it comes to those type of situations, unfortunately, those are the people you need to set boundaries with, because if you do not, and if you do not, trust me from experience, if you do not set boundaries with these people will run over you. These people will take all your time. These people will take all your energy. These people will use you as collateral damage to get their feelings and their agenda across. Again, if there's people in your life that are doing that, refer them to a coach, refer them to a counselor, refer them to someone that is able to have that appointed time to talk to them, because a lot of times these people, they tend to just focus on solely them and what's going on in their lives rather than having a conversation, rather than having a dialogue. It's more rather a situation where you're the mirror and they're just having a monologue with themselves. That's basically what's going on. So you don't want that to happen. So you have to set boundaries and you have to set limits. Limits are for the people who you want in your life, the people that you want in your life, but you have to cut them off at a certain period. They are there, they care about you, and you care about them, sure, but you know how they are, you know how their behaviors are, you know how they move, you know how they treat people, and you know that it is time for you to say, hey, I can only contact you when I'm available. Or hey, I'll respond to your text message or your phone call when I have free time. You cannot just jump and answer these people's phone calls. You cannot just jump and answer their text messages. You cannot just jump and go see them, because they will suck a lot of energy out of you and they will not bring it back. It's not reciprocated. When you setting boundaries, on the other hand, is that you have literally made intention to ensure that these people do not cross those boundaries. Yes, you're setting limits as well, but when it comes to boundaries, it's more of a reinforcement. Let's put it this way: setting limits may be something as far as like a small fence. Setting a boundary may be a whole gated community. So when it comes to setting boundaries, you want to make sure you are setting boundaries intentionally, and you're not caving when it comes to your boundaries, because a lot of times you a lot of times when you set boundaries with people, they are not happy with it. They're not. They may be used to going to you. They may be used to using up your time. They may be used to speaking with you for maybe an hour. on the phone, and maybe you've cut it off to 15 minutes, or they're used to um, taking time taking time from your day, or taking time from your weekend, or your evening routines, and they want to talk to you, which is fine. But when you set that limit, then you set the boundary, then you know that this person cannot overstep. Because even when you set limits, people will try to overstep. Maybe when you say, hey, I'm going to have a 10-minute conversation with you, it's going to 15 minutes and they're still talking. Or, hey, when they ask you for maybe some money, or they ask you for your time, you said, okay, I have maybe an hour. And then they want to, oh, well, we're almost done. We're almost done. Give me like 30 more minutes. No, I set my limit to an hour. This is my boundary. We discussed this already. We discussed that I will not be available past this hour. That's my boundary. Oh, well, I just, I understand, but I have to set this boundary, because if I don't set this boundary, you will capitalize on it. Now, it's one thing for you to say that you're going to do this, it's another thing for you to actually execute it. A lot of people back away from setting boundaries and back away from setting limits, because they think that it is maybe too much work to keep the boundary going, to keep the limit going. And if you do not set that limit and that boundary, then people will decide to pick and choose when to use you and use your time. Don't allow people to do that. Don't allow people to do that, because your time is precious, your time is valuable, and if you don't do that, and you start to build resentment towards the boundaries that you set. Maybe this boundary is not strong enough. Maybe I shouldn't have never set this boundary because this person just doesn't care. No, you have to set the boundary. You have to be in control, and you have to make the effort to uphold that limit and that boundary. Or if you don't, then people will start and continue to walk all over you. Don't let that happen. So make this as simple as possible. When you want to set limits and boundaries with people, remember, these are your limits and these are your boundaries. People cannot dictate what your limit is, what your boundary is, and if people start to overstep, those limits and boundaries, you have to decide to reinforce it even stronger, or to remove that person from your life completely. Limits are for people you really care about, you really love, and you just want to set limits on how much time is being used, how much energy you're giving. But boundaries are more fortified. If you set that boundary, stay true to that boundary, and uphold that boundary. If not, people will choose to walk over you. You cannot decide that you're going to set a limit and a boundary, and then you start to regret it later on. You have to be strong with it, and you have to give the reason why. Or if you choose not to give the reason why, that's completely fine as well. But remember that setting a limit and a boundary is more for you just as much as for the person. Don't pretend like it's not important for you, because people will pretend like that boundary and those limits are not important to them. Simple as that. So if you're struggling with this, go ahead and message me, contact me, www.yourcolabcoach.com, fill out that relationship checklist, sign up for that free 15-minute coaching session, email me, colabcoaching@gmail.com, Facebook, Collab Coaching, Instagram Collab Coaching, on my series, on my videos on YouTube, COLAB Coaching. Like and subscribe. I also have a book, Fresh Eye Solve Problems Easier. The Self-Love Relationship Project is available at Barnes & Noble's, Amazon. It's an ebook on Kindle. It's an audiobook as well. Give me a review if you like it. Great. If you don't, great. I'm all open for it. And remember, setting boundaries and limits, and boundaries are very important for your mental health. Make sure you're doing that, and don't back away from them once you set them. Simple as that. Have a wonderful day. Share this with anyone that's struggling with this. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.